The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, just as humanity was finishing breakfast across the globe. It came through every communication device simultaneously. Phones, computers, televisions, even old radios crackled to life with the same alien voice speaking in perfect, emotionless English. People of Earth, we are the Zephyrian Empire. 6,000 years ago, your ancestors committed an unforgivable crime against our species. The time for retribution has come. In 30 Earth days, our fleet will arrive to claim what is owed. Surrender now, and we will show mercy. Resist, and face extinction. In the bustling control room of the United Earth Defense Command, General Sarah Chun didn't even look up from her coffee. Around her, junior officers scrambled, alarms blared, and screens lit up with data from deep space sensors detecting an approaching armada. She took another sip, savoring the bitter taste. General Chun, Lieutenant Rodriguez burst through the door. Did you hear the transmission? The entire planet just received. I heard it, Chun said calmly, setting down her cup. Tell me, Rodriguez, what do you know about the year 4000 BCE? The lieutenant blinked. Ma'am, 6,000 years ago. Ring any bells? That would be ancient Mesopotamia? Early Bronze Age. Chun smiled. Exactly. When our ancestors were just figuring out how to write on clay tablets. Apparently, we managed to offend an interstellar empire. Fascinating, isn't it? Rodriguez stared at her. General, with all due respect, shouldn't we be panicking? Why? Chun walked to the main viewing screen, where long-range sensors showed hundreds of alien vessels approaching Earth. Each ship was massive, bristling with weapons that their computers couldn't even categorize. Look at those ships, Lieutenant. What do you see? I see doom, ma'am. I see antiques. Chun turned to face the room. Listen up, everyone. I want a full analysis of those ships. Energy signatures, propulsion systems, weapons arrays. Everything. The room buzzed with activity. Within minutes, data began flowing across the screens. Chun watched with interest as her analysts worked. General, Captain Torres called out. Initial scans complete. Those ships, they're using fusion reactors. Fusion? Chun raised an eyebrow. How quaint. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based, with some kind of particle beam arrays. Shields are electromagnetic barriers, probably rated for technology from 6,000 years ago, Chun finished. When the biggest threat in space was asteroid impacts and solar radiation. Lieutenant Rodriguez was starting to understand. General, are you saying, I'm saying, Chun interrupted, that while the Zephyrians were apparently nursing a grudge for 6 millennia, humanity wasn't sitting still. Torres, what's the status of the Prometheus array? All 12 stations report ready, General. Dark energy manipulators are online. And the quantum fleet? Admiral Singh reports all vessels are in position across the dimensional fold. They can emerge anywhere in the solar system within nanoseconds. Chun nodded. Rodriguez, I need you to do something for me. Go to the archives. Find out what possible crime humanity could have committed in 4000 BCE that would anger an alien empire. I have a feeling it's going to be hilarious. As Rodriguez left, Chun turned back to the screens. The Zephyrian fleet was still weeks away, moving at what they probably considered impressive speed. To them, it must have seemed like yesterday, when humanity was barely more than clever apes. They had no idea what those clever apes had become. Ma'am, an analyst spoke up. We're receiving another transmission from the Zephyrians. Put it through. The screen flickered to life, revealing the first look at their would-be conquerors. The Zephyrian commander was tall and elegant, with crystalline skin that caught the light in prismatic patterns. Forearms ended in delicate fingers, and large eyes regarded the camera with what might have been contempt. Humans, the commander said. I am Supreme Admiral ZYX Theta of the Eternal Fleet. You have received our terms. What is your response? Chun stepped forward, making sure she was in full view of the camera. Supreme Admiral, I'm General Sarah Chun of United Earth Defense. I have to admit, we're all quite curious about this crime from 6,000 years ago. Care to elaborate? The alien's eyes narrowed. Your ancestors destroyed the sacred stone of Zephyr, a monument that had stood for eons on your moon. It was a beacon of our empire's reach, a symbol of our dominion over this sector of space. Chen had to bite her lip to keep from laughing. A stone. On the moon. 6,000 years ago. It was not merely a stone. ZYX Theta's voice rose. It contained a recorded history of our first expansion, the names of every hero who claimed this system for the Empire. Your primitive ancestors, in their ignorance, destroyed it during their first fumbling attempts to leave their world. Supreme Admiral, Chun said carefully, humans didn't reach the moon until 1969 CE. Whatever destroyed your monument, it wasn't us. Lies. The Zephyrian's crystalline skin flushed a deep purple. We detected human DNA at the site. The evidence is indisputable. From 6,000 years ago, time means nothing to justice. The stone was destroyed, humans were responsible, and now you will pay the price. Chun sighed. Supreme Admiral, I'm going to ask you a very important question. During these 6,000 years of planning your revenge, did you ever consider checking on humanity's progress? Maybe sending a scout? Updating your intelligence? Why would we waste resources observing primitives? You could not have advanced significantly in such a short time. Even now, you have barely colonized your own moon. About that, Shin gestured to someone off-screen. The display behind her changed, showing a map of human space. This is current human territory. The map expanded. Earth was a tiny dot at the center, surrounded by thousands of other dots. Each one was a colony, a space station, or an outpost. The human sphere stretched across a significant portion of the galaxy. ZWX Theta's forearms twitched. This is impossible. 6,000 years is nothing. You are using stone tools. We're quick learners, Chen said. Now about your fleet. I notice you're using fusion reactors. 3rd generation, if I'm not mistaken. The finest in the Empire. Each reactor can power weapons capable of cracking a moon. Impressive. We use those to power our coffee makers. Chen's smile was sharp. Supreme Admiral, I'm going to give you some free advice. Turn your fleet around. Go home. Forget this grudge. Because if you continue on your current course, you're going to learn exactly how much humanity has changed in 6,000 years. You dare threaten the Eternal Fleet? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Our warriors are legend across the galaxy. And how long ago were those conquests? Chen asked. Let me guess, about 6,000 years? The Supreme Admiral's silence was telling. That's what I thought, Chen continued. You've been resting on your laurels while we've been busy. You think you're coming to punish primitive humans who can barely bang rocks together. Instead, you're about to meet a species that went from fire to fusion in a few millennia, from fusion to quantum manipulation in a century, and from quantum manipulation to, well, you'll find out. Your boasts mean nothing. In 30 days, Earth will burn. The transmission cut off. Chen turned to her staff, who were all staring at her with mixtures of awe and concern. General, Captain Torres ventured. Should we prepare for battle? Oh, we'll prepare, Chen said, but not for battle. I want you to ready the welcome protocol. The welcome protocol, Mang. Think about it. The Zephyrians have been nursing a grudge for 6,000 years over a rock. They've convinced themselves we're monsters who deserve extinction. They've built their entire identity around being the wrong party seeking justice. What happens when they realize they're the ones who are 6,000 years out of date? Understanding dawned on Torres's face. They'll be humiliated. Worse, they'll be irrelevant. Their entire purpose for coming here will be meaningless. Chen returned to her coffee. So we're going to do something they won't expect. We're going to be nice to them. Nice, ma'am. Kill them with kindness, Torres. Ready the diplomatic corps. Prepare guest quarters. Have our best chefs plan a banquet. When the Zephyrian fleet arrives expecting a fight, they're going to find a welcome party. Rodriguez returned, tablet in hand, and a bewildered expression on his face. General, I found information about the sacred stone of Zephyr, and it was destroyed by a meteor impact. A small one, probably no bigger than a baseball. The odds of it happening were astronomical, but it happened, Chun finished. And the Zephyrians found human DNA because by 400 BCE, microbial life originating from Earth had already spread throughout the inner solar system via asteroid impacts. It's called lithopanspermia. Any major impact on the moon would have trace amounts of Earth-originated organic compounds. Chun laughed. So they've been planning revenge for 6,000 years because they don't understand basic astrogeology. This is perfect. Perfect, ma'am. Don't you see? They're not invaders. They're not conquerors. They're confused tourists showing up 6,000 years late to a party that never existed. Chun stood up. Prepare a message to all Earth colonies and allies. Tell them we're about to have some very confused guests, and I want everyone on their best behavior. Over the next days, Earth prepared for the most unusual invasion in history. Instead of weapons, they readied welcome banners. Instead of battle plans, they prepared tourist guides. The entire planet mobilized not for war, but for the galaxy's most awkward family reunion. The Prometheus array, capable of harvesting energy from dark matter itself, was put on standby, not to fire, but to create the most spectacular light show the galaxy had ever seen. The Quantum Fleet, ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously and could phase through normal matter like ghosts, practiced formation flying for parade. On Mars, Governor Yuki Tanaka received the briefing with amusement. So we're throwing a party for would-be invaders? The general's orders, the messenger confirmed. She wants every colony to prepare cultural exhibitions. Show them what humanity has become. What about the outer colonies? The ones using experimental tech. Especially those. The general wants the Zephyrians to understand exactly how far we've come. On Europa Station, Dr. James Wright looked at the orders and shook his head. They want us to give the Zephyrians a tour of the consciousness transfer facility? His assistant nodded. Apparently, we're to showcase human achievement. All of it, including the fact that death is now optional for humanity. Especially that. On the moon, where the sacred stone of Zephyr once stood, a team of archaeologists worked carefully to reconstruct what the monument might have looked like. They used quantum archaeology, pulling information from the quantum foam itself to peer back in time. Got it, Dr. Lisa Park exclaimed. I can see it. The sacred stone of Zephyr. It was, oh my. What? Her colleague asked. It was about 3 feet tall. A simple obelisk with some carvings. Pretty, but, well, we have garden ornaments more impressive than this. The Zephyrians are ready to commit genocide over a garden ornament. Apparently so. Make sure to recreate it exactly. We'll present it to them as a peace offering. As the days counted down, humanity's response became the most watched event in galactic history. Other species, some who remembered the Zephyrians from their conquering days, watched in amazement as Earth prepared not for war, but for hospitality. The Altarians, who had fought the Zephyrians to a standstill 8,000 years ago, sent a message. What are you doing? The Eternal Fleet is no joke. General Chun personally responded. Neither is human hospitality. Watch and learn. The Proxima Confederation, humanity's closest allies, offered military support. Our fleets stand ready to assist. Appreciated, but unnecessary, Chun replied. Though if you have any good recipes for crystalline-based life forms, we'd love to have them. Even the mysterious void dwellers, who rarely communicated with anyone, sent a message. The humans confuse us. Is this wisdom or folly? Yes, was Chen's response. As the Zephyrian fleet approached, long-range sensors provided more detailed information. There were 300 ships in total, each one a masterpiece of 6,000-year-old engineering. Their weapons were powerful by the standards of their time. Plasma cannons that could glass a continent, particle beams that could punch through a moon. Their shields could withstand the combined firepower of a dozen primitive nuclear civilizations. Against modern humanity's technology, they might as well have been sailing ships facing a star fleet. General, an analyst reported, we're detecting communication between the Zephyrian ships. They seem confused. By what? Our lack of panic, ma'am. They expected us to be scrambling defenses, begging for mercy, or at least trying to negotiate. Instead, they're seeing, is that a welcome Zephyrians banner on the moon? 300 meters wide, LED illuminated, visible from space, Chen confirmed. How are they reacting? I'm reading heated debate. Some want to fire immediately. Others are advising caution. Their Supreme Admiral is, ma'am, I think he's having what we would call a nervous breakdown. Perfect. How long until they're in Earth orbit? 6 days at their current speed. Excellent. Signal all colonies. I want the biggest, most spectacular welcome humanity has ever organized. We're going to show the Zephyrians that the real crime will be destroying a species as wonderfully ridiculous as humans. As Earth prepared its unprecedented welcome, the Zephyrian fleet drew closer, carrying 300 ships full of warriors ready to fight an enemy that no longer existed, seeking justice for a crime that never happened, preparing to conquer a species that had outgrown conquest itself. The galaxy watched, waited, and wondered. What happens when an unstoppable grudge meets an incomprehensible welcome? In 6 days, they would find out. Supreme Admiral X Theta stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Vindication, all 4 of his arms clasped behind his back. Through the viewport, Earth grew larger with each passing hour. The blue-green world looked exactly as it had in the ancient recordings, primitive, vulnerable, ripe for conquest. Supreme Admiral, his tactical officer, Vexera, approached carefully. We're receiving strange readings from a human system. Define strange. Energy signatures we can't identify. Structures that shouldn't exist. And Vexera hesitated. They appear to be decorating. Decorating? The moon, sir. They've covered approximately 30% of its surface with what appear to be lights. Colorful lights. In patterns. ZYX Theta turned, his crystalline features catching the bridge lights. Show me. The main screen flickered to life, showing Earth's moon. Where once the sacred stone of Zephyr had stood, now there were indeed lights. Millions of them, arranged in what looked like words in various languages, pictures, and patterns. One section seemed to be a massive smiley face. Are they mocking us? Unknown, sir. But there's more. We're detecting massive energy readings from points throughout their system. Energy types we've never seen before. Impossible. The humans were barely sentient 6,000 years ago. They cannot have advanced beyond basic nuclear fission at most. Another officer, Thursday Vaughn, looked up from his console. Supreme Admiral, I'm analyzing their defensive positions, and, sir, I can't find any. They're hidden. The humans are clever. They're concealing their weapons. No, sir. They have no defensive positions at all. Their cities are unshielded. Their orbital platforms appear to be civilian. They have ships, but they're not in defensive formations. They appear to be practicing synchronized movements. What kind of movements? Thursday Vaughn's voice was uncertain. It looks like a dance routine. ZYX Theta's upper arms clenched. Bring me the cultural analysis team. I want to know what form of psychological warfare this is. The cultural analysis team, led by the elderly scholar Gandura, had been included in the fleet to document the fall of humanity and ensure all traces of their civilization were properly cataloged before destruction. She floated onto the bridge, her crystalline form dulled with age. Supreme Admiral, she wheezed. You summoned me? Explain this. He gestured at the screens, showing Earth's preparations. What strategy are the humans employing? Zawindara studied the displays, her 4 eyes widening. Supreme Admiral, I don't believe this is a strategy at all. I think they're welcoming us. Welcoming us. Each word dripped with disbelief. We announced our intention to destroy them. Yes, sir. And they appear to be throwing us a party in response. This must be a trap. No species responds to a declaration of war with whatever this is. Sir, Communications Officer Hextal interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's addressed to you personally. Display it. General Chun appeared on screen, but this time she wasn't in military attire. She wore a formal dress uniform decorated with medals and ribbons, and behind her was what appeared to be a massive banquet hall. Supreme Admiral ZYX Theta, I hope this message finds you well. As you approach Earth, I wanted to personally invite you and your command staff to a welcome dinner. We've prepared accommodations for crystalline-based life forms, including appropriate atmospheric conditions and cuisine. Our xenobiologists have been working around the clock to ensure your comfort. ZYX Theta found his voice. General Chun, you face annihilation, and you off for dinner? Well, it seems only polite, Chun smiled. You've come such a long way. 6,000 years of planning deserves at least a nice meal and conversation. Besides, we have much to discuss. There is nothing to discuss. You destroyed the sacred stone of Zephyr. About that, Chen's expression grew sympathetic. We've done some research. Would you like to see what really happened to your monument? Before ZYX Theta could refuse, the screen changed. It showed a quantum archaeology reconstruction. The moon, 6,000 years ago. The sacred stone stood proudly on the lunar surface, its crystalline structure catching the sunlight. Then, a small meteor, no bigger than a pebble, struck it at incredible speed. The monument shattered instantly. As you can see, Chen's voice narrated, it was a natural event. 1 in a billion chance, but it happened. The human DNA you detected was from Earth-origin microbes that had been spread throughout the inner system by asteroid impacts millions of years earlier. We hadn't even developed writing when your stone was destroyed. The bridge of the eternal vindication was silent. ZYX Theta stared at the screen, his mind struggling to process what he'd seen. Chun reappeared. Now, I understand this might be shocking. You've based your entire mission on a misunderstanding. But rather than let 6,000 years of effort go to waste, why not make something positive of it? Come to dinner. Meet humanity. Let us show you who we've become. This is a trick ZYX Theta managed. No trick, Supreme Admiral. Just an invitation. Though I should warn you, if you attempt to attack Earth, you'll find we're not quite the easy target you expected. But I'd really rather not go down that path. The paperwork alone would be a nightmare. Paperwork? Oh yes. Ever since we joined the galactic community, any defensive action requires forms in triplicate. Do you have any idea how tedious it is to file a justified defensive annihilation of aggressors report? I'd much rather file a successful diplomatic function form. Much simpler. The transmission ended. ZYX Theta turned to his staff, who were all staring at him with expressions ranging from confusion to concern. Sir, Vexera ventured. What are your orders? ZYX Theta was quiet for a long moment. His entire life had been dedicated to this moment. His father had told him stories of the sacred stone, of the crime committed against their people. His grandfather had begun planning the Great Revenge. For 6,000 years, every Supreme Admiral had passed down the duty, the holy mission to punish humanity. And now, scan their defenses again, he ordered. Everything. I want to know what we're really facing. The tactical team worked furiously. As data poured in, the bridge grew quieter and quieter. Sir, Thursday Vaughn's voice was barely a whisper. These readings, they don't make sense. Explain. That structure near Earth? It's not a space station. It appears to be a dimensional anchor. It's holding open portals to 12 different dimensional planes simultaneously. That's impossible. The energy readings support it, sir. And those ships practicing formations? They're not entirely in our dimension. They're existing in multiple realities at once. I can't even calculate their potential weapons capacity because our computers don't have the mathematics to understand their existence. Vexera added her own findings. The moon bases aren't military installations. They appear to be tourist resorts. Luxury accommodations with something called gravity spas and temporal massage therapy. And Mars? Fully terraformed. Population, 8 billion. They have something called a weather control network that maintains perfect climate conditions planet-wide. Oh, and sir, they have a note here saying they've reserved their best hotel for our command staff. ZYX Theta sank into his command chair. Show me more. Show me everything. The data kept coming. Humanity hadn't just advanced. They'd exploded across the galaxy like a force of nature. They'd solved mortality through consciousness transfer. They'd mastered energy sources that made fusion look like burning wood. They'd befriended species the Zephyrians had never even discovered. They'd built wonders that defied understanding. Sir, Lunadara spoke softly. I've been analyzing their historical records. Do you know what happened after we last visited this system? Tell me. They nearly destroyed themselves. Multiple times. Nuclear wars, ecological collapse, pandemics. But each time they survived. And each time they survived, they learned. They went from discovering fire to splitting atoms in less than 10,000 years. From atoms to manipulating the fabric of reality itself in another 1,000. How is that possible? They're insane, sir. Beautifully, brilliantly insane. Look at this. They strap themselves to controlled explosions to leave their planet. They poison themselves with radiation to cure diseases. They deliberately seek out danger for entertainment. And somehow it works for them. A younger officer, Kexheim, spoke up. Sir, I've been monitoring their communications. Do you want to know what the humans are saying about our approach? Are they afraid? No, sir. They're excited. They're placing bets on what Zephyrian food tastes like. Someone has composed something called a welcome march for our arrival. Their children are drawing pictures of our ships to put in what they call friendship books. Friendship books? Apparently they're going to give them to our soldiers as gifts. Each book contains drawings, poems, and messages of welcome from Earth's children. Theta stood and walked to the viewport. Earth hung there, impossibly blue, impossibly alive. 6,000 years of hatred, of planning, of purpose, all based on a misunderstanding. Supreme Admiral? Vexera prompted. Your orders? Signal the fleet, Theta said slowly. All weapons to standby mode. Sir, we're not equipped for this kind of warfare, Vexera. But, sir, we haven't detected any weapons fire. Exactly. Theta turned to face his bridge crew. They're not fighting us with weapons. They're fighting us with welcome mats and dinner invitations. How do you defeat an enemy who refuses to be your enemy? The philosophical implications hung in the air. The Eternal Fleet, the most feared armada in their sector of space 6,000 years ago, found itself facing a foe it had never prepared for. Aggressive friendliness. Sir, Communications Officer Hextau called out. We're receiving another transmission. This one is different. Show me. The screen lit up with a video message. It was from a human child, no more than 6 years old, with gaps in her teeth and pain on her cheeks. Hi, alien friends, she waved enthusiastically. My name is Emma. My mommy said you're coming to visit, and you might be scared because you think we're mean, but we're not mean. We have cookies. Do you like cookies? I drew you a picture. She held up a crayon drawing of what might have been a Zephyrian ship or possibly a butterfly. It was hard to tell. I hope you like Earth. We have parks and dogs and ice cream, and my teacher says you've been flying for a really long time, so you must be tired. You can sleep at my house if you want. Okay, bye. The transmission ended. The bridge was utterly silent. Finally, Kex spoke. Sir, do we have cookies? Theta closed all 4 eyes. That child just offered to share her home with a species that came to destroy her world. The humans are insane, Thursday Vaughn agreed. Or enlightened beyond our understanding, Alindura suggested. Think about it. They know we can't hurt them. Their technology so far exceeds ours that we're not a threat. So why fight? Why not transform their would-be destroyers into friends? It's economically efficient, Vexera mused. War is expensive. Dinner parties are much cheaper. Sir, Hextau interrupted again. The humans are sending more transmissions. Thousands of them. They appear to be recipes. Recipes? Yes, sir. For Zephyrian-compatible foods. They say they've analyzed our biological requirements and created fusion cuisine combining human and theoretical Zephyrian preferences. There's something here called crystal carbonara and quantum quiche. Theta made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. They're sending us recipes. We came to annihilate them, and they're worried about our dietary restrictions. Another message arrived, this time from what appeared to be a committee of human xenobiologists. Greetings, Zephyrian friends. We've noticed your crystalline structure suggests a silicon-based biology. We've prepared several restaurant venues with appropriate atmospheric conditions. Also, our material scientists are very excited to meet you. They have some questions about your natural photoconductive properties. Would any of your crew be interested in participating in a joint research project? They want to study us, Thursday Vaughn said in disbelief. No, the Wyandotte corrected. They want to study with us. There's a difference. More messages flooded in. Offers of trade agreements. Invitations to cultural exchanges. A request from something called a university asking if any Zephyrians would like to give guest lectures. An art collective wanting to collaborate on a memorial for the Sacred Stone. A tourism board offering guided tours of human space. Sir, Vexera said quietly. What do we do? ZYX Theta was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was tired. For 6,000 years, we've defined ourselves by this mission. We are the wronged. We are the avengers. We are the bringers of justice. But if there is no crime, if there is no enemy, then what are we? We're explorers, sir, Kexheim suggested. We've traveled further from home than any Zephyrian fleet in history. We've discovered a species unlike anything we've encountered. A species that responds to threats with thesis proposals. Thursday Vaughn added with something like wonder. Sir, Hextal nearly shouted. Priority message from the human General Chun. She says it's urgent. Display it. Chun appeared, but this time her expression was serious. Supreme Admiral, I apologize for the direct communication, but our sensors have detected something you should know about. Your fleet's approach has attracted attention. There's a Devour swarm approximately 2 light years from your current position, and they're moving to intercept you. ZYX Theta's crystalline skin paled. The Devour swarms were nightmares, biological weapons left over from an ancient war. They consumed everything in their path. Even a mighty Zephyrian empire had learned to avoid them. They'll reach you in approximately 18 hours at their current speed. Chun continued. Now, normally this wouldn't be our problem, but we've grown rather fond of you during your approach. We've prepared welcome dinners and everything. It would be a shame if you were eaten before the soup course. What are you proposing? ZYX Theta asked. Simple. We'll deal with the swarm. You continue to Earth for dinner. Though I should warn you, this means you'll owe us one, and humans have long memories when it comes to favors. You would save your sworn enemies? Chun grinned. Oh, Supreme Admiral, you're not our enemies. You're our guests, and we take guest safety very seriously. Besides, this gives us a chance to test out some new toys. We've been dying to see if quantum phase disruption works on biological hive minds. The transmission ended. ZYX Theta turned to his stunned crew. Sir, Vexera said slowly, they're going to fight a Devour swarm. For us, after we threatened to destroy them. I'm beginning to think, ZYX Theta said, that humans have a very different definition of warfare than we do. As if to emphasize the point, another message arrived. This one was from a human military unit calling itself the 42nd Interdimensional Marines. Hey there, Zephyrian buddies. We heard you've got a pest problem. Don't worry, we'll handle it. Devour swarms are so last millennium. By the way, we're throwing a barbecue after the battle. You're invited. Our colonel makes a mean quantum grilled steak. Exists in all possible states of deliciousness simultaneously. ZYX Theta did something he hadn't done in decades. He laughed. It started as a small crystalline chime, then grew into full-bodied harmonic resonance that filled the bridge. Sir, Vexera looked concerned. Don't you see? ZYX Theta gasped between laughs. We spent 6,000 years preparing to fight the humans. We imagined them as monsters, as criminals, as enemies worthy of the eternal fleet. And instead, they're completely insane? Tufun suggested. Wonderful, ZYX Theta corrected. They're wonderful lunatics who answer declarations of war with dinner invitations and fight nightmare swarms to protect their would-be destroyers. He straightened. Decision made. Signal the fleet. We accept Earth's invitation. All crews are to prepare for whatever happens when you try to destroy someone who refuses to admit they're your enemy. As the Eternal Fleet adjusted course for Earth, accepting hospitality instead of offering hostility, sensors detected movement near Jupiter. The human quantum fleet was emerging from dimensional fold, ships that existed in multiple realities sliding into normal space like ghosts becoming solid. Each ship was impossibly beautiful, constructed from materials that seemed to bend light itself. They took positions around the Zephyrian fleet, not surrounding them in threat, but arranging themselves like an honor guard. A message came from the lead human ship. Eternal Fleet, this is Admiral Singh of the UES Probability Dance. We're here to escort you safely to Earth and deal with that swarm problem. Fair warning, things might get a bit weird. We'll be fighting in dimensions you can't perceive. Just stay on course and enjoy the light show. Light show. Baksara Bundarat. Space behind them erupted in impossible colors as the human fleet engaged the Devour swarm in dimensions the Zephyrians couldn't even see. Reality bent, twisted, and occasionally giggled as weapons that operated on principles beyond understanding tore into the biological nightmare. Through it all, the human ships maintained perfect formation around the Zephyrian fleet, protecting them from any danger. It was over in minutes. Where once a Devour swarm had been, now there was only sparkling dust that formed, improbably, into the words "Welcome to Earth" in Zephyrian script. How did they do that? Too fun bleast. I don't think we want to know, HFY replied. I think we just need to accept that humanity has transcended our understanding of what's possible. As Earth grew larger in their viewports, the Eternal Fleet prepared for the strangest battle they'd ever faced, a battle where the enemy refused to fight, where weapons were replaced with welcomes, and where 6,000 years of hatred met its match in humanity's bizarre, boundless capacity for friendship. The greatest war in Zephyrian history was about to end not with conquest or destruction, but with what promised to be the galaxy's most awkward dinner party. The Eternal Fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere in perfect formation, their shields shimmering against the friction of entry. Below them, the planet's surface revealed itself to be nothing like their ancient record suggested. Where once there had been scattered primitive settlements, now there were cities that defied comprehension, structures that seemed to exist partially in other dimensions, gardens that floated in anti-grav fields, and transportation networks that folded space itself. Supreme Admiral Vax Theta stood rigid on his bridge, all four hands gripping his command station. Around him, his crew watched in stunned silence as Earth unveiled itself. "Sir," Vexero whispered, "the energy readings from that city alone could power our entire fleet for a millennium." "I see it," HFY Theta replied. They were being guided toward a massive landing field where thousands of humans had gathered. Banners in every conceivable language, including perfect Zephyrian, welcomed them. Musical groups played on floating platforms. Children waved flags made of light itself. "Atmospheric composition is safe for our species," Thursday Vaughn reported. "They've even adjusted the humidity and pressure in our landing zone to match our homeworld exactly." "How could they know?" "Sir." Incoming transmission from General Chun. The human commander appeared on screen, now dressed in an elaborate outfit that somehow combined military formality with party festivity. "Supreme Admiral, welcome to Earth. I hope the descent wasn't too bumpy. We've cleared all air traffic in your approach vector. The designated landing zones are marked with the blue lights. We've reinforced the platforms to handle your ship's mass. Oh, and don't be alarmed by the dragons." "Dragons?" ZYX Theta echoed weakly. "Genetically resurrected from fossil DNA. Completely harmless, mostly. They're part of the welcoming committee. The red one specifically requested to meet you. She's fascinated by crystalline life forms." The transmission cut off. Through the viewport, ZYX Theta could indeed see what appeared to be massive reptilian creatures circling their landing site. One, scales shimmering crimson in the sunlight, performed an elaborate aerial display that ended with skywriting, "Welcome friends," and smoke. Are those mythical creatures real?" Kexime asked. "Apparently humans resurrect extinct species for entertainment," Zawindara said, consulting her datapad. "According to this, they also have a park called Pleistocene Plaza, where visitors can pet woolly mammoths." The eternal vindication touched down with surprising gentleness, the human landing systems compensating for any turbulence. Through the viewports, they could see crowds of humans cheering, waving, and holding up signs. One group appeared to be dressed as Zephyrians, their costumes lovingly crafted if anatomically incorrect. Sir, Communications Officer Hextau called out. Sir, we're receiving over 1 million individual welcome messages. From children, adults, organizations, even artificial intelligences. They're all saying they're glad we're here. ZYX Theta, try to process this. His people had announced their intention to commit genocide, and humanity's response was to flood them with welcome cards. Supreme Admiral. A new voice came through their communications. This is Landing Coordinator Jennifer Martinez. Whenever you're ready to disembark, we have the red carpet laid out. Fair warning, the moment you step out, you'll be considered celebrities. We haven't had hostile aliens try to invade in over 50 years. Everyone's very excited. Excited, ZYX Theta muttered. About an invasion? Oh yes, Martinez continued cheerfully. The betting pools on how long before you'd give up and join us for dinner were enormous. General Chen won, by the way. She had you down 4 before first shot fired. Made an absolute fortune. ZYX Theta looked at his command crew. They looked back, equally lost. Finally, Zunidara spoke up. Sir, I believe we have 2 choices. We can send our ships and look foolish, or we can go out there and see what happens when you invade a species that throws you a party. ZYX Theta straightened all 4 shoulders. You're right. We came here as conquerors. The least we can do is face our defeat. Victory? I'm not even sure what this is anymore. I believe the humans call it friendship, Kexheim suggested. The Admiral made his way to the ship's main hatch, his senior staff following. As the ramp lowered, Earth's air flooded in, clean, sweet, with hints of flowers they couldn't identify. The sound hit them next. Music, cheering, and laughter. So much laughter. ZYX Theta took his first step onto Earth's soil. The crowd erupted. Confetti made from biodegradable smart paper filled the air, each piece programmed to shimmer through colors that complemented Zephyrian visual spectra. The dragon, the red one Chan had mentioned, landed gracefully nearby, her massive head lowering to eye level with ZYX Theta. Greetings, she hissed in accented but understandable Zephyrian. I am Scarlet. I have waited so long to meet crystalline beings. Your photonic resonance is beautiful. You can speak our language? ZYX Theta managed. I learned it last week, Scarlet said proudly. Humans uploaded it to my neural implant. Very efficient. Would you like a ride? I can show you the city from above. Oui. ZYX Theta looked helplessly at his crew. General Chen approached, flanked by what appeared to be her command staff, and a group of excited civilians. Among them were humans of every description, but also other species some the Zephyrians recognized, many they didn't. Supreme Admiral. Chen saluted crisply, then extended her hand. Welcome to Earth. I hope you can forgive the chaos. We don't get to welcome invaders very often these days. Most people just apply for standard immigration visas. ZYX Theta stared at the extended hand. In Zephyrian culture, touching was reserved for family or battle. This seemed to be neither and both. He extended one of his hands. Chen shook it warmly. There, she smiled. First peaceful contact between our species. The historians will love this. Now, I believe you have some concerns about an ancient monument. We have something to show you. She gestured, and the crowd parted to reveal a monument. It was the sacred stone of Zephyr, recreated in perfect detail, standing on a platform of lunar regolith. We rebuilt it, Chen explained. Every atom in its proper place, based on quantum archaeological reconstruction. We thought you should have it back. We've also prepared a site on the moon where it can be reinstalled, if you'd like. Same coordinates as the original. ZYX Theta approached the monument slowly, his hands trembling. 6,000 years of purpose, of drive, of hatred, all for this simple stone. He touched it gently, and his crystalline form resonated with harmonic frequencies of grief, relief, and something else he couldn't name. It's perfect, he whispered. We try, Chen said. Now, I believe we promised you dinner. We've prepared a feast in the Global Unity Hall. Every Earth nation contributed something. Fair warning, the Australians brought something called Vegemite. We're not entirely sure it's food, but they insist you try it. General, ZYX Theta turned to face her. I need to understand. We came here to destroy you. Why are you doing this? Chen's expression grew thoughtful. Supreme Admiral, can I share something with you? A bit of human philosophy? He nodded. There's an old Earth saying, the best way to destroy your enemy is to make them your friend. But that's not quite right. The truth is, the best way to destroy your enemy is to make sure they were never your enemy at all. Just someone you hadn't met yet. But we threatened you. We came with warships. You came with antiques, Chen corrected gently. Magnificent antiques, but antiques nonetheless. You came seeking justice for a wrong that never happened, against a species you'd never truly met. You came as strangers. We're just making sure you leave as friends. A small human child tugged at Chen's uniform. She was holding a crown made of flowers. General Chen, the girl said seriously, you promised I could give it to them. Of course, Emma. Supreme Admiral, this is the young lady who sent you the video message. Emma approached YX Theta fearlessly, holding up the flower crown. I made this for you. It's a friendship crown. All the important people wear them on Earth. YX Theta knelt, bringing himself to the child's eye level. I threatened your world, small one. Why would you make me a crown? Because you were sad and mad and far from home, Emma said simply. Mommy says when people are sad and mad, you should be extra nice to them. Also, you're sparkly. I like sparkly. She reached up and placed the crown on what she assumed was his head. It sat at a slightly odd angle on his crystalline form, but somehow it worked. The crowd awed collectively. Several news drones captured the moment from every angle. By tomorrow, the image of the feared Zephyrian Supreme Admiral wearing a flower crown made by a 6-year-old would be on every screen in human space. Sir, Vexera murmured, our warriors are beginning to disembark. The humans they're giving them gift baskets. Indeed, each Zephyrian warrior stepping off their ships was being met by enthusiastic humans pressing packages into their hands. Welcome baskets containing Earth foods safe for their consumption, guides to human customs, translator devices, and what appear to be hand-knitted scarves. The scarves are from Mrs. Chun, General Chen explained. My grandmother, she insisted, said no one should conquer a planet without proper neckwear. She knitted 3,000 of them. We tried to explain that your species doesn't exactly have necks, but your grandmother knitted 3,000 scarves for an invading army? ZYX Theta asked weakly. She's very prolific, and she watches a lot of crafting shows. Come, let's get you to the feast. I promise, no one will make you eat the Vegemite if you don't want to. As they walked through the crowd, ZYX Theta noticed something else. Human children were approaching Zephyrian warriors, absolutely fearless, asking questions, requesting autographs, and in one case, challenging a confused warrior to what appeared to be a dance competition. Your young show no fear, he observed. Why should they? Chen asked. They've grown up in a galaxy where differences are celebrated. To them, you're not invaders. You're just very tall, sparkly visitors who need lunch. They entered the Global Unity Hall, and ZYX Theta stopped in his tracks. The massive building had been decorated in a fusion of human and Zephyrian aesthetics. Crystal formations that sang in harmonic frequencies lined the walls. Holographic displays showed the history of both species. And the smell. We had a guess at your cuisine preferences, a chef explained, approaching with others. But, based on your biology, we've created some fusion dishes. This is crystallized amino soup with quantum spices. This is what we call rocks on a rocks, mineral supplements in various flavors. And this is our masterpiece, a cake that exists in a superposition of flavors until you taste it. You created new cuisine for us? Thursday Vaughn asked in amazement. Well, we couldn't let you invade on an empty stomach, the chef said. That would be rude. As the Zephyrians were seated in chairs specifically designed for their unique anatomy, more wonders revealed themselves. Human musicians played instruments that created sounds and spectrums both species could appreciate. Scientists gave presentations on collaborative opportunities. Artists displayed works inspired by Zephyrian crystal structures. This is overwhelming, ZYX Theta admitted to Chun, who had seated herself next to him. I imagine it is, she agreed. But can I tell you a secret? We're just as overwhelmed. Do you know how rare it is to meet a species that's held a grudge for 6,000 years? That's dedication. We have philosophers who want to study your concept of time and justice. Physicists who are fascinated by your natural crystalline harmonics. Historians who want to know everything about your culture. But we came to destroy you. Details, Chun waved dismissively. The important thing is you're here now. And since you're here, we might as well make the most of it. Tell me, what does Zephyrian music sound like? As if on cue, Kexheim stood up. I brought my resonance crystals. They're traditional instruments. Would it be appropriate if I played? The hall fell silent. Every eye, human and otherwise, turned to him. Please, Chin said. We'd be honored. Kexheim produced a set of crystals and began to play. The sound was unlike anything humans had heard, pure tones that seemed to bypass the ears and resonate directly in the soul. The crystals sang of home, of stars, of 6,000 years of wandering, of purpose found and lost and found again. When he finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the hall. That was beautiful, someone whispered. Play another, came a call. Soon, human and Zephyrian musicians were comparing instruments, creating impromptu fusion pieces. Warriors who had trained their entire lives for battle found themselves teaching curious humans traditional Zephyrian dances. Scientists huddled in corners, excitedly exchanging theories. This isn't how invasions are supposed to go, Weixtheta said, watching one of his fiercest commanders showing a group of children how to make their crystalline skin change colors. No, Chin agreed. But isn't this better? Before he could answer, an aide approached. General, we have a situation. Chin sighed. What now? Did the Australians actually convince someone to try the Vegemite? No, ma'am. It's the Galactic Council. They're demanding an explanation for the hostilities in our system. Chin grinned. Oh, this should be fun. Supreme Admiral, would you like to help me explain to the Galactic Council that our invasion has turned into a potluck dinner? They won't believe it, Weixtheta said. Probably not. But think how confused they'll be. Come on, it'll be hilarious. As they walked to the communication center, Weixtheta found himself matching Chin's grin. You humans are insane. Thank you, Chin said. We try. Now let's go scandalize some bureaucrats. The communication screen lit up, revealing the imposing form of Counselor Vrex of the Galactic Council. His 6 eyes widened as he took in the scene, General Chun and Supreme Admiral Weixtheta standing side by side, the Zephyrian still wearing Emma's flower crown. General Chun, Vrex intoned. We detected an invasion fleet approaching Earth. Explain. Oh, that, Chun said casually. Yes, the Zephyrians did invade. It was very exciting. They had a whole speech prepared and everything. And Vrex prompted. And now we're having dinner. Would you like to join us? The Zephyrians brought a fascinating dessert that phases between dimensions. It's quite good. Vrex's eyes bulged. You're having dinner. With your invaders. Well, yes, Chin said as if it were obvious. They came all this way. It would be rude not to feed them. But, Vrex sputtered. This is highly irregular. Invasions are supposed to follow protocol. There are forms to file, battle damage to assess, reparations to negotiate. Would you like us to file a retroactive invasion permit? Weixtheta offered helpfully. I believe Form GC 7786B covers invasion resolved through dinner party. That form doesn't exist. Vrex exclaimed. It does now, Chin said. I just created it. First line. Did any shots get fired? No. Second line. Was the food good? Yes. Third line. Are all parties satisfied with the outcome? I'll let the Supreme Admiral answer that one. Weixtheta thought about his 6,000-year mission, about the warriors who were currently learning human card games, about the flower crown on his head, about the small human child who'd welcomed a would-be destroyer without fear. Yes, he said. All parties are satisfied. Vrex made a sound like a deflating balloon. This is not how galactic politics is supposed to work. No, Chin agreed. But it's how it works when you invade Earth. Now, did you want some cake or not? It won't exist in this dimension much longer. The communication cut off, leaving Vrex staring at a blank screen on his end. Do you think he'll file a complaint? Weixtheta asked. Oh, definitely, Chin laughed. But by the time he figures out which form to use, we'll have established trade routes, cultural exchange programs, and probably a few interspecies marriages. Marriages? Have you seen how your communications officer and our Lieutenant Rodriguez have been looking at each other? I give it 6 months. They return to the feast to find it had evolved into something more. Humans were teaching Zephyrians Earth games. Zephyrians were showing humans how to harmonize with crystal formations. Someone had started a conga line that included 2 dragons, a platoon of Zephyrian warriors, and what appeared to be most of Earth's kindergarten population. Sir, Vexera approached, her crystalline form flushed with what might have been embarrassment. The human scientists have made a proposal. What kind of proposal? They want to combine our harmonic technology with their dimensional manipulation. They think we could create, they think we could create pocket universes for art installations. Art installations? Museums that are bigger on the inside. Concerts that exist across multiple realities. Parts where the laws of physics are more like gentle suggestions. She paused. It's the most insane idea I've ever heard. And I desperately want to try it. ZYX Theta looked around the hall. His invasion force, trained for combat and conquest, were being defeated by hospitality. His warriors were falling to friendship. His purpose of 6,000 years was crumbling under the weight of welcome. And he couldn't have been happier. Tell them yes, he said. Tell them yes to everything. If we're going to be conquered by kindness, we might as well surrender completely. As the feast continued into the night, news spread across the galaxy. The fearsome Zephyrian Empire had invaded Earth. Earth had responded by throwing them a party. The invasion had technically succeeded. The Zephyrians had landed and taken control of the buffet table. Military analysts would study the battle of the dinner table for centuries, trying to understand how humanity had won a war without firing a shot. The answer was simple and infinitely complex. They'd refuse to be enemies. And in a universe full of conflicts and ancient grudges, that might have been the most powerful weapon of all. 3 weeks had passed since the Zephyrian invasion of Earth, and the galaxy was still trying to make sense of what had happened. News feeds across thousands of worlds showed the same bewildering images. Zephyrian warriors teaching human children how to sing crystal harmonics, human engineers working with Zephyrian scientists to build impossible structures, and Supreme Admiral ZYX Theta giving a lecture at MIT about multidimensional warfare theory, while still wearing a slightly wilted flower crown. In the Galactic Council chambers, Counselor Vrex pounded his ceremonial gavel with 4 of his 6 arms. Order! Order! This emergency session will come to order. The assembled representatives of 100 species gradually quieted, though whispers continued to ripple through the chamber. At the center of attention stood General Sarah Chun and Supreme Admiral ZYX Theta, who had arrived together in a ship that shouldn't exist, a hybrid of human and Zephyrian technology that had somehow made the journey in a fraction of the time it should have taken. This is unprecedented, Vrex declared. In the 10,000 years of the Galactic Council's existence, we have never seen an invasion end in friendship, Chun suggested helpfully. Cultural exchange, ZYX Theta added. Interdimensional theme park construction, Chun continued, unable to hide her grin. That's not a recognized form of conflict resolution. Vrex sputtered. Ambassador T. Kilor of the Andromedans raised a tentacle. Actually, subsection 47B of the Peaceful Contact Protocols does mention unconventional diplomatic solutions, and I believe a dinner party followed by collaborative art projects would qualify. That subsection was meant for accidental first contacts, not invasions. Vrex protested. Ah, Chun said, pulling out a datapad. But, according to Zephyrian law, their action was technically a righteous reclamation, not an invasion. And under Earth law, since no shots were fired and everyone had a good time, it was classified as an unexpected family reunion. So really, this falls under family law, not military law. Family law. Vrex's voice had climbed an octave. Well, young Emma did adopt the entire Zephyrian fleet as her extended cousins, Chun explained. She has the paperwork and everything. Crayons were involved, but it's legally binding on Earth. The Vularian representative leaned forward, their photosynthetic fronds rustling with amusement. Are you seriously suggesting that a 6-year-old human child has legally adopted a military fleet of 300,000 warriors? 300,017, ZYX Theta corrected. Emma is very specific about including everyone. She has attendance sheets. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions, accusations, and, in one case, a request for Emma's autograph. Through it all, Chun and Vyx Theta stood calmly, waiting for the noise to die down. When it finally did, the ancient Quellian ambassador spoke, their crystalline body chiming with each word. Perhaps we should hear the full account of what has transpired on Earth these past weeks. Of course, Chin said. Where should we start? The joint human-Zephyrian bowling tournament? The establishment of the first interdimensional food truck? Oh, I know. We should tell them about the cultural misunderstanding with the Martians. That wasn't our fault, ZYX Theta protested. How were we to know that returning their ceremonial greeting required juggling? As they began their tale, neither of them noticed the small drone in the corner, broadcasting the entire session to the galaxy at large. On Earth, millions watched as their general cheerfully described what was being called the Friendship War. Back on Earth, in what had been designated the Zephyrian Cultural Center, formerly a convention hall, Captain Torres was dealing with her own crisis. Ma'am, she addressed Subcommander Vexera, we have a problem. Vexera looked up from where she was teaching a group of human children how to make their drawings literally sing. What kind of problem? The good kind, I think, but still a problem. Remember how we showed your engineers our quantum tunneling technology? Yes, they were very excited. Well, they combined it with your harmonic resonance techniques, and they may have accidentally created a portal to a universe made entirely of music. Vexera blinked all 4 eyes. They created a what? A universe of music, literally. The laws of physics, they're based on rhythm and melody. We've already had 17 humans and 12 Zephyrians volunteer to explore it, but we thought we should probably tell someone in charge before they left. This is what happens when you let our species work together, Vexera sighed. Where is this portal? In the janitor's closet on the 3rd floor. We're not entirely sure how it got there. Before Vexera could respond, Kexheim rushed in. Subcommander, the humans have done something wonderful and terrible. Another musical universe? No, they've taught our warriors something called memes. I don't fully understand, but now half our forces are communicating entirely in picture jokes about something called cats. I'm told this is psychological warfare at its finest. Vexera made a sound that in Zephyrian culture indicated either amusement or existential dread. Show me. What followed was a presentation that would have baffled military tacticians for generations. Hardened Zephyrian warriors, trained from birth to be instruments of conquest, were creating and sharing images of Earth felines with humorous captions. The memes had evolved to include Zephyrian culture, resulting in images like a cat made of crystal saying, "I can has harmonic resonance." This is either the death of our warrior culture or its greatest evolution, Vexera murmured. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Dr. James Wright was having a very different kind of meeting. So, you're telling me, he said slowly to Thursday Vaughn, that Zephyrian crystals naturally store consciousness patterns? For brief periods, yes, Thursday Vaughn confirmed. It's how we preserve important memories. But it's limited to a few hours at most. And what if I told you humans have developed technology that can transfer consciousness indefinitely? That death, for us, has become more of an inconvenience than an ending. Thursday Vaughn's crystalline form flickered, the Zephyrian equivalent of a jaw drop. That's impossible. The consciousness degradation problem alone. We solved it. Would you like to see? What followed was a tour that fundamentally shook Thursday Vaughn's understanding of mortality. Humans had not only conquered death, but had turned it into an industry. There were consciousness hotels where people could vacation in different bodies. Athletes who backed up their minds before dangerous sports. artists who split their consciousness to collaborate with themselves. This is madness. Thursday Vaughn breathed. This is Tuesday. Wright corrected. Wait until you see what we did with time dilation fields. Across the city, similar scenes played out. Zephyrian warriors learned human video games and immediately became addicted to something called speedrunning, competing to conquer virtual worlds in record time. Human children taught Zephyrian pilots how to make paper airplanes, leading to a fusion of technologies that resulted in origami spacecraft that could fold space itself. But perhaps the most significant development was happening in a small cafe where Lieutenant Rodriguez and Communications Officer Hextau sat across from each other, neither speaking. Finally, Rodriguez broke the silence. "This is ridiculous." "Agreed," Hextau responded. "Our species were at war 3 weeks ago." "Technically, yes. And now I'm having coffee with you. It's very good coffee." "That's not the point." Rodriguez laughed. "The point is, I don't even know what the point is anymore. Everything's changed so fast." Hextau's crystalline form shifted to what Rodriguez had learned was a smile. "Change doesn't have to be bad. My people spent 6,000 years frozen in purpose. In 3 weeks, you humans have shown us more growth than we've had in millennia. And you've shown us that dedication and tradition have their own beauty," Rodriguez replied. "Do you know what my grandmother said when she saw the footage of your fleet arriving?" "What?" She said, "Finally, people who understand the importance of a good, long grudge." Then, she invited your entire command staff for Sunday dinner. "Is that the meal where she made us try something called menudo?" "That's the one." They both laughed, the sound mixing human and Zephyrian harmonics in a way that would have been impossible just weeks before. Their moment was interrupted by an emergency alert. Both their communicators activated simultaneously, showing General Chen's face. "All personnel, this is not a drill. We have a situation. The Devour swarm we destroyed turns out it had friends. A lot of friends. Long-range sensors detect a massive cluster heading for inhabited systems. We're talking potentially millions of units." The cafe went silent. Rodriguez and Hextau exchanged glances. Chun continued, "The Galactic Council is in panic. Half the species are planning to evacuate. The other half are preparing for a last stand. But here's the thing, I think we have a solution. It's insane, it's never been tried, and it requires perfect cooperation between human and Zephyrian technology." "What do you need us to do?" Hextau asked. "Remember that musical universe your people accidentally created? We're going to weaponize it. If the Devour swarm wants to consume everything, let's give them a universe where everything is intangible sound. But we need the Zephyrian harmonic network to stabilize the portal and human quantum computing to target it." "That's..." Rodriguez started. "Insane? Impossible? Likely to either save the galaxy or accidentally turn it into a symphony." Chen grinned. "Yes to all. But that's never stopped us before. All teams report to the Unity Center. We have a universe to save." As humans and Zephyrians across Earth received the message, something remarkable happened. There was no panic, no confusion, no division between former enemies. Instead, there was immediate mobilization. Warriors and scientists, artists and engineers, children and elders, all moved with singular purpose. In the Unity Center, General Chun and Supreme Admiral Theta stood before a massive holographic display showing the approaching swarm. The Devour units were a writhing mass of biological horror, each one capable of stripping a planet bare in days. "How long do we have?" Theta asked. "At their current speed? 47 hours before they reach the first inhabited system," Chen replied. "The musical universe portal is stable, but we need to expand it to swallow something that size. My harmonic resonators working with your quantum field generators," Theta mused. "It's never been done. Best time to try is when the fate of the galaxy is at stake," Chen said cheerfully. "Makes it more exciting. You humans and your love of danger." Theta shook his head, but he was smiling. "What do you need from us?" "Everything," Chen said simply. "Every Zephyrian who can hold a harmonic frequency. every crystal that can resonate. We're going to create the biggest concert in galactic history. A concert. Think about it. The musical universe responds to rhythm and melody. If we can create a harmony powerful enough, we can expand the portal to encompass the entire swarm. But it needs to be perfect. One discordant note, and the whole thing collapses. ZYX Theta considered this. You're asking my warriors to save the galaxy through song. I'm asking your people and mine to do what we've been doing for 3 weeks, the impossible. Teams formed with remarkable efficiency. Zephyrian crystal singers worked with human musicians to compose a harmony that could bend reality. Engineers from both species jury-rigged amplifiers that could broadcast across dimensional barriers. Even the dragons got involved, their unique vocal cords adding frequencies neither human nor Zephyrian could produce. As they worked, something beautiful emerged. The fear and tension that should have accompanied such a crisis was replaced by determination and even joy. Humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, their former enmity forgotten in the face of a greater purpose. Vexera commented to Torres as they calibrated a harmonic resonator. 3 weeks ago, I was prepared to die gloriously in battle against your species. And now? Torres asked. Now I'm preparing to save the galaxy through interpretive music. Somehow, this feels more glorious. In the corner, Emma sat with a group of Zephyrian warriors, teaching them human nursery rhymes. The itsy bitsy spider is very important, she explained seriously. It teaches about perseverance. Also, spiders are cool. The warriors, each one capable of single-handedly conquering a small city, nodded solemnly and practiced the hand gestures. As the hours ticked down, the Unity Center transformed into something unprecedented. Human technology merged seamlessly with Zephyrian crystalline structures. Musicians from a dozen species arrived to contribute their voices to the harmony. Scientists worked alongside artists, warriors alongside children. Status report, Shin called out. Portal is stable and expanding, reported Dr. Wright. We've managed to create an opening approximately 1 kilometer in diameter. The harmonic frequency is holding, Thursday Vaughn added, but we'll need significantly more power to expand it to the size we need. How much more? Every voice on Earth would be a good start. Chun and ZYX Theta exchanged glances. Then, Chun activated the planetary communication system. Citizens of Earth, both human and Zephyrian. This is General Chun. In 36 hours, a devour swarm will threaten billions of lives. We have a plan, but